My name is Megan Mathis, and we will be discussing the topic of childhood obesity. My target audience is adults. I chose this audience in hopes of getting their attention to make them realize how they could help and to prevent childhood obesity in the kids today. After discussing childhood obesity and how to prevent it, the participants will be able to identify factors that cause childhood obesity. They would be able to explain 5 psychological problems that obese children suffer from, and they'd be able to create a workout plan to follow that can be used to reduce or prevent childhood obesity. First, we would talk about what obesity is by definition in their own opinions. I would take 5 minutes going through the crowd asking people to give me their own opinion of what obesity is. After the 5 minutes, I would take another 10 to 20 discussing these main points, including the first point, overweight, meaning having excess body weight for a particular height from fat, muscle, bone, water, or a combination of these factors. So we would discuss the difference between being overweight and being obese. After we talked about these main points on what obesity is and different aspects that would consider someone obese, I would then move on to the statistics and facts, going over each point and having brief discussions regarding the facts. For example, I would say that overweight children have an increased risk of being overweight as adults. I would then ask why someone would think that would be correlated together. After we discussed it in over a few minutes, I would then go to the next topic. I have given the participants enough information to be able to identify factors that cause childhood obesity. After going over the first topic of what obesity is, I would then start going over the complications. We would take 20 to 25 minutes going over each one of these complications using the picture. We would go over the psychosocial, pulmonary, gastrointestinal, renal, musculoskeletal, neurological, cardiovascular, and endocrine, different sections of the body that is being affected by childhood obesity. After looking at the picture, we would take 10 minutes discussing the short-term effects of childhood obesity, high blood pressure, problems with breathing, low self-esteem, and depression. And then we would take another 10 minutes discussing long-term effects of childhood obesity, stroke, hypertension, cardiovascular disease, sleep apnea, type 2 diabetes, and even cancer. I have given the participants enough information to be able to explain 5 psychological problems that are caused from childhood obesity. After discussing the complications and effects of childhood obesity, we would stop and have a discussion. This would take 10 to 15 minutes, and we would cover questions like why is obesity growing so quickly in the U.S.? What are some factors that contribute to it? How can we as adults help? What changes can be made? After the last question, we would discuss different activities that they thought would help children. After we discussed this, and how could that be used effectively, we would start the activity of the participants creating their own exercise plan. So I would have them make their own list of activities that could be done by children, which include push-ups, sit-ups, jumping jacks, lunges, burpees, running, and just playing outside. But what I would challenge the participants to create is an effective workout plan and how they can be used effectively. So for example, I would have, as a family, I would start having little mini competitions to see to try to get your child to exercise. So if you just daily have a competition for someone to do push-ups, how many push-ups they can do, or sit-ups, or any of these exercise activities, that any little thing would help a child that is obese. After taking time to really discuss the different exercises each participant will have their own exercise activities down, and I will call on a few and we will discuss how they would or wouldn't help. By calling on a few people and getting their opinions, this would allow other people to get new ideas that could help them out in the future. I have given participants enough information to be able to create a workout plan to follow that can be easily used to reduce or prevent childhood obesity. At the end of the presentation, I would ask if there were any further questions or comments regarding childhood obesity. I would then answer any of those, and then the presentation would be over. In the presentation, I use multiple intelligences. In slide 3 and 4, I used logical mathematical because we went over statistics. I also used interpersonal because people will reflect on what they've done after reading the statistics. In slide 6, I used interpersonal because we went over the factors that cause obesity. In slide 7 was discussion and questions where we used interpersonal and interpersonal. We also used linguistic because we were discussing. In slides 8 and 9, these slides were both factual again. I used spatial and linguistic. In slide 10, I used spatial and bodily kinesthetic. I also used interpersonal.